Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Lunch and Learn for March. We have David, who's going to be giving you not just one country, but 4 different countries, all of which he's got a lot of information about. And I'm going to let him take over. He's got a lot of slides. Please, if you have questions, wait till the end. If we run out of time or something, feel free to come up and talk to him afterwards. But I'll turn it over to David.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for coming. I also like to say thank you to the IRO, Owen and Shelley, and everyone who works there, giving me this opportunity. So far in my time at OJC, I've gotten this question a lot. Hi, how are you? Where are you from? And it's difficult to explain to people that that's a really hard question to answer. But hopefully, after this presentation, maybe we can come to a summary or conclusion as to where I'm really from. I'm going to take you on a journey, a geographical and cultural journey through the 4 countries that I grew up in. So I was born in a hospital in a wonderful town called Zomba. It's a really cool place. It's one of the more beautiful places in Malawi. Malawi can be generally hot and dry, but it's one of the calmer places. That's their flag. And I lived in Malawi from the day I was born till I was 8 years old. Their president currently is Peter Mutharika. They've had a lot of presidents over a few years because of certain corruption issues and deaths. And so from the hospital, my parents moved to this town called Mangochi. It's right by the lake. We lived there for as long as I can remember. It was my home growing up when I was a child, and it was really, really hot. In Mangochi, or Malawi in general, there are 2 really big tribes that make up the majority of the country. One of them is the Chichewa tribe. Now, I actually spoke this language when I was growing up. Really cool people, really nice, really social. They speak some broken English, but they're just really cool people. And then there are the Chiao people. They're also from around the area. They spill over into Tanzania and Mozambique a little bit, and they're largely Muslim. Now, I mentioned that I lived by the lake. It's called Lake Nyasa, which literally means lake, because Nyasa means lake in Chichewa. I never understood that. And from the lake, we got some wonderful fish, some wonderful fresh fish called nsomba in Chichewa. Corn was a big staple food for the people, so when it comes the season for farming, they would farm corn, and that's how they generated a lot of their food for an income for the next year. And with the corn and fish, you could make nsima. Nsima is the whitish stuff, You boil hot water and mix it with corn flour. Nsima was the staple food in Malawi, so they had nsima with everything. You could have nsima with nkuku, which is chicken. You could have nsima with mbuzi, which means goat. You could have nsima with ng'ombe, which means beef or cow. You could have nsima with nyemba, which means beans. That was one of my personal favorites. My dad always told me growing up that beans would make me tall, so I just ate a lot of beans. And for special occasions, or if you were super rich, you could eat rice every once in a while. A couple of times we went to the city, the big city, Lilongwe, the capital. It was always fun to go here, even though it was like a day's trip. But from here, we could fly out back home to Nigeria. So the first time I went to Nigeria, I was about, 4 years old, 4 or 5 years old. Till I went to Nigeria, Malawi, Lilongwe is the most advanced city. You know, there were cars everywhere. They had airplanes, they had an airport. It was a really cool city. Lately, they've been suffering from a really poor economy due to bad leadership. English is spoken there. It's not one of the main languages, but the educated people speak it. So a really small percentage of people speak it, but they do speak it over there. And so, when I was 4, I visited Nigeria for the first time. And I visited the city of Lagos. The city of Lagos is a bustling city with over 20 million people. And my first time there was really cool. But as we kept going back, I realized that this is a really crazy city. So once again, there were 20 million people, or over 20 million people in this city. There was poor electricity, traffic, really loud, really humid. But at the same time, it was rich in culture. You could never go a day without having a fun or memorable experience. It was really social. People were ready to talk and really willing to help. This is our flag. This is the Nigerian flag. Green and white. I'm Nigerian by passport, by birth. Both my parents are Nigerian, so I have to put this country in here. They speak English, Yoruba, Hausa, and Igbo, and a little bit of French. These are the main languages in Nigeria. Nigeria consists of 36 states. Not as many as the US, but we still have them. And one thing that Nigerians love is soccer. They love soccer. Everyone plays soccer. On Sundays, half the people go to church and half the people are on the streets playing soccer. It's the weekend. This is our president, recently elected. There are 3 tribes in Nigeria, 3 major tribes. There's the Hausa tribe in the north, the Yoruba in the southwest, and the Igbo in the southeast. Now the Hausa tribe, these guys they're incredibly smart. They're really clever people, but they're not very loud. They're more quiet. They're mostly Muslim. A lot of them are farmers, even though it's really dry and really arid. Some of them fish. But they also have a darker skin tone because of just how hot and how sunny it is in their environment. It's really, really hot and arid. In Hausa land is the capital, Abuja. It's a really beautiful place. Unlike Lagos, it's organized, it's beautiful, it's where everyone wants to go, it's the destination to be. And then there's Yoruba land. They're mostly Christian there. They're really loud and aggressive people, but they're fun. They're generous and loyal, love music, extremely social, and they're really rugged and determined. It's really hot and humid in that area, so you would sit inside a house and open all the windows and turn on the fan, but you'd still be sweating to your toes. It's so hot there. Then there's Igbo land. The Igbos are they're cool people too. They have a lighter skin tone. I don't know why. These guys make money. They are the money makers. They literally grow up and either move to different places or different areas in Nigeria or outside so that they can start their own businesses. And that's one of the biggest characteristics of their tribes. You can find them all over the world. They're generally Catholic, and they're just really colorful people. Now, Nigeria was cool for me up to a certain point, but then I started realizing that as much as they were my people, I didn't understand them very well. There was some conflict. I looked like them, and I tried to speak like them, yet I was not accepted. But then I came to the conclusion that because I had a different cultural background due to where I grew up and certain expectations they had of me, there was bound to be differences. But I did find something in Nigeria that I could really identify with, and that was food. You can never go wrong with food. Nigeria boasts a wide array of different cultural, delicious food. We have amala. Now it's distinctly dark and it's made of yam flour. I think they use like black yam or something. This is actually a lighter version of it. You can literally not look delicious, but it actually is. Then there's eba. Eba is cassava flour. You just take dry cassava flour and mix it in with hot water and let it solidify. It forms pretty quickly. You could also have cassava flour just with sugar. They call that gari, and have it with peanuts. It's really nice. There's egusi. Egusi soup is also really delicious. A lot of palm oil, and it's made with melon seed powder. You mix it in with whatever meat you want. We have fufu. Fufu is it's popular not only in Nigeria but all across Africa. We have pepper soup. So they pack as much pepper as possible into the soup. In fact, there's more pepper than there is soup. So I'd just be careful if I was going to eat this if I were you. They can have it with fish. Then we have our own special type of jerky. They have this in the north, in the Hausa area. It's really tough, but at the same time it has a very distinct flavor because it's made with a special type of bean pepper. In Nigeria we don't have, it's really difficult to find good water from the tap. So that you find these everywhere, just people walking in the street selling them, pure water, they're holding it on their heads, selling it to everyone. It's okay. Fried plantain, one of my personal favorites. My mom makes this for me sometimes. It's delicious. Yam and eggs. While in the West people have like bacon and eggs for breakfast, we have yam and eggs whenever we go back home. This is also pepper soup again, but this time it's with goat. You can make it with, it's generally made with goat and fish, but you can still make it with any meat you want to use. Okra, they call this okra instead of okra, but they call it okra. It's really drawy, it has this unique taste and texture. It's not one of my personal favorites, but my dad loves it and my youngest brother. pounded yam. We use yam for everything. This is really soft compared to the others. It has a specific smell to it too, and you can eat it with anything. Now this would be a general stew, really red. Again, a lot of palm oil. Africans love oil for some reason. And then this is what we, it's a grilled beef. It's called suya. It's spiced. Now this is a different spice, and they generally just have it on the street. So in Lagos, towards the evening, you can just walk out on the street. A bunch of guys would just be doing it everywhere. They would cut you a couple of pieces, you pay for it, and they cut some onions and put it in a newspaper and sell it to you. It's a cultural thing. I personally, I'm half Yoruba and half Baju. Baju is a tribe in the really middle north, middle west. Yeah, my dad is from one tribe, my mom's from another tribe. Perhaps you're wondering what are those red X's? They're all over. It's actually quite sad. Terrorism has affected Nigeria in a negative way. The red X's are the areas where Nigeria was attacked the most, so especially towards the northeast, there have been so many casualties by a group called Boko Haram. Last year, they killed more people in terror attacks than ISIS, but the government and our new president has been working on them, and he's been actually taking them down little by little. That's one of the biggest reasons he was voted, because he takes care of the problem and he deals with it. Now, I've not lived in Nigeria for a really long time. The longest duration of time I've lived there was 10 months. And this was not because of terrorism. You know, if we live by fear, then we give them victory, so we have to keep fighting. As a family, when I was about 8 years old, we visited Nigeria, and then we made the decision my parents made the decision to move from Malawi to Mozambique. So I went down south to Mozambique. Now this is just going south. There we go. It's right by the coast. When I say Mozambique is right next to South Africa, this is what I mean. So South Africa is down there on the south. Madagascar is a little bit off, but Mozambique is the closest mainland country to Madagascar. They gained their independence in 1964 from the Portuguese. They had a hero called Samora Machel, who fought for them and helped them gain their independence. He's a big, very popular figure there. But after that, they had a civil war for 16 years between two political parties, the Frelimo and the Renamo. This is a big part of Mozambique's identity so far, because they're still recovering and building themselves up from that civil war that really destroyed the country after their independence. They speak Portuguese there, they don't speak English, but only 30% of the people speak Portuguese. It's the national language, but again, it's spoken by the people in the cities, the educated people, the people in the towns. They have 10 provinces. I've lived in 2 of them, but I've been to all of them just traveling back and forth. This is their president, again, recently elected. Their capital is called Maputo, and it's right next to South Africa. It's an hour or 2 drive away from South Africa. So compared to the rest of the country, it's really advanced, really beautiful. It's like a mini South Africa. Their currency is called the Metical, and this is what it looks like. It's been losing power recently. It's about 50 to the dollar, but they don't have a great economy yet. Things are really expensive at the same time because a lot of their goods are imported and stuff. So they're still coming out of that stage of civil war and rebuilding. And because of that civil war, many of the parents or the older generation passed away. So Mozambique consists of a lot of youth, young people aged 20 to 30. I mean, they're everywhere. But you know, they stay positive, and of course, you know, the weekend is all about drinks. O tempo de bebidas. This is one of the more popular drinks there. I mean, alcohol is the second part of the culture there. But they can also prepare some really good food. Their chicken is really delicious. They learned how to spice it from the Portuguese, because the Portuguese can cook really well too. They have really good seafood. One of their special things that I've not seen so much in other places is they have roasted cashew nuts. Now, I don't like it so much, but the rest of my family do. And every time we're traveling, we always buy some. They have a lot of fresh fruit. Again, a lot of places are not modernized. They're still rural villages, so they have a lot of bananas, pineapples, oranges. When it comes to the season, the markets are just full, and you can go get some fresh fruit anytime. Now, when I moved to Mozambique, I lived in an area called Chimoio, and I actually lived there for about 8 years out of my 10 years in Mozambique. We started off in a village, and in that village lived the Ndau people. They're sort of the village version of the Shonas of Zimbabwe, if you guys have ever heard of the Shonas of Zimbabwe. They're really nice people. We traveled once for a week, and we forgot our clothes on the line or something like that. I don't even know how that was possible. But we came back, and they're all folded at our doorstep, and we're like, these people are really nice. Again, this is what a normal house would look like. No electricity, no plumbing. They just rural farmers who, each family takes care of themselves. After 8 years in Mozambique, we moved again to another town. I wasn't there for this moving because I was at school, but I came back and we were in a completely different place. All my friends were gone. Oh well, story of my life. Excuse me. Nampula is my current home, so if any of you were to go back home with me, this is where you come to. It's a really nice place. It's in between Chimoio and Maputo in that it's half rural, half modernized. So in some areas you can find huts and stuff, but in some areas you can find really nice houses and cars and things like that. They have a lot of cultures in that one town itself and in that province. Most of them are Muslim coastal cultures, so they dress in a certain way. It's really hot there. Many of them came to the city to find work. Many of them came to the city to find similar people because, for example, the Yao, they're from Malawi, but because there are a lot of them in that city specifically, they just keep grouping up together. In Mozambique, the main religions are Catholicism, Christianity, Islam, and then there's a lot of tribal religions, witchcraft, but it exists there. Portuguese was really difficult for me to learn, and my parents weren't willing for me to stall my education to learn it so I could go to school in Mozambique. So they sent me to boarding school in 6th grade to Kenya. I was really excited about that. Now Kenya Kenya is really cool. Such a cool place. You've probably heard about it. You should go there. This is their president, Uhuru Kenyatta. He was also recently elected. It's a rich land, diverse, many tribes. One of the biggest sources of identity of the Kenyan people is their diversity, their tribes. Everyone associates or affiliates themselves with one tribe or the other. And it used to bring division in the past, but I think now it brings unity. They can express how different, yet how unique they are, how unified they are as a country. The red outlines, so around here, going around, is the Great Rift Valley. It's like a dip in the land, so if there were to be some sort of massive earthquake, Kenya would break away from the continent of Africa and go join Madagascar in the sea. I had the privilege of schooling right on the edge in a school called Rift Valley Academy. And yeah, every day I just woke up to sites like these. We had Mount Longonot. Just open your window and you can see this. It was really beautiful. It was a privilege to go to school there. Nairobi is the capital of Kenya. It's, again, it's more advanced than most of the other towns around, but it's a really nice place to start off, you know. If you were to go from the US to Africa, it would be one of the nicer places to begin before you go through culture shock. Kenyans are very athletic. They're wonderful people, really athletic. They have a really good rugby team. They play all sorts of sports. They love soccer, basketball, everything. I'm going to begin naming the tribes. Now the tribes in Kenya, there's so many, but I tried to get the major tribes. The Kamba live a little bit north of Nairobi. Then you have the Kikuyu. The Kikuyu are a big tribe. Again, they're the money makers in the country. They have a really cool sounding language, but it's so difficult to speak because you have to have a lisp or something. Then you have the Meru people. A lot of these tribes farm cattle as a way of life, even though it's really dry. They either migrate from place to place or they farm. We have the Samburu people. They have really cool cultural attire. So they color their faces and they pierce their ears, but it's all part of the cultural thing, you know, growing up. They wear a lot of different colors. It's just part of their identity as a people. Turkana in the north, these guys really survive by just goats, just pretty much goats, because it's so dry up there. Then you have the Luhya people. The Luhya, I think, are the second biggest tribe in Kenya. They hold positions in government, and they always have a big say in what goes on. The Kalenjin are the runners. So if you've ever looked on the Olympics and see the Kenyans winning every single time with like 5 Kenyan guys in front and everyone else behind, this is the tribe they come from. If you want to get fit, pay them a visit. The Luo are also a big tribe. It's a very mountainous area. It's right next to Uganda, so it's really lush and beautiful there. Not as dry as the rest of the country. They have the Kisii, not a huge tribe, but it's definitely worth mentioning. And then they have the Maasai tribe. I don't know, for some reason they're generally more popular, even though they're not that many. So I had to mention them. One of their coolest attributes, in my opinion, is they have this ritual where they all stand around in a circle, and then someone plays music, and then they start jumping. So it's a form of dancing, but it's a form of just cultural bonding at the same time. So they don't bend their knees, they keep their legs straight, and then they just jump straight up. And so, I mean, they get this high sometimes. It's crazy what they do. It's really cool. They too pierce their ears, so I mean, a guy's earlobe would come down to his chin or something because of the massive holes in there. Kenya is well known for its national parks. The Aberdare is right next to where I went to school. I never visited, but it's really beautiful, mountainous, lakes. There's Amboseli National Park. On the East Coast, we have the Somali people. So they're completely Kenyan, and some of them migrated from Somalia, you know, to live a free life, you know, free of oppression, and the Kenyans welcomed them in. We have the Michikenda down in the southeast. These are the coastal people, so if you ever go to a resort on the beach, these are most likely the type of people you're going to meet. Tsavo National Parks, if you've ever heard of lions eating people, it happened here, but really long ago, so don't worry, you'll be fine. Mount Kenya National Park. Mount Kenya is the second tallest mountain in Africa, right behind Kilimanjaro. They have the national park, and it's a really cool place to hike. I almost went there. Lake Nakuru National Park. They have flamingos here. I thought that was really weird. I thought flamingos existed somewhere else, but they do. If you drive by, the lake almost looks pink because they have so many flamingos on the shore. And then lastly, the Masai Mara Game Park. I've been to this one myself. I was blown away. There were just animals everywhere. We went on game drives every day, and we just saw, this is pretty much what we saw every day. And so much more. Now on the beach, on the beach there are many resorts. So you can, if you ever want to take a leave from the rural life or the difficult life, the beach has some really nice places to go to. I personally went to Baobab Beach right here for a week with my class. It's like our senior trip, and just had a wonderful time. The resort was fantastic, buffet, beach, swimming pool. Now the food. Let me tell you something. Kenya, every country has its unique food, but Kenya has a particularly unique food in my opinion. They were colonized by the British, but their food comes actually from the people from Asia, South Asia, because they used to come to the coast and do slave trade and stuff, but then they left a lot of their food. One of the things that they drink is called chai. So they boil milk and put a tea bag in there, and then put as much sugar as possible, you know. Dissolve it until it becomes like rock candy or something, and then you drink it. They have a great tea and coffee industry. It's a really big part of Kenya. It's a big part of the economy too. They have ugali. Now, ugali is very similar to a lot of the other white foods I showed you before, except this is rock hard. So they make it, they boil it, and then they let it cool down, and it's like swallowing a stone. But for some reason, I really like it. I don't like it too soft. It's just me. They have nyama choma. Nyama choma is so delicious. Where I lived in Rift Valley Academy, we could just drive down the hill, go down to one of the restaurants, and in there, you know, they would be killing goats in the other room. The other room, they'd be roasting them, and then you put them on one of these brown platters over here, and you get a knife, some forks, you know, for everyone, and they just throw some salt on there, and then you just cut off pieces, dip it in salt, and eat it. It's the way to go. They boast their specific type of beer. It's called Tusker. I've never tasted it, I swear. It's there. The more rural or poor people eat githeri. Githeri is beans with corn. I personally don't like this very much, but it's what most people grew up eating out of necessity, out of lack. They have the samosa there. The samosa is really delicious. You know, they put meat or vegetables inside, cover it in this triangular shaped patty, and then fry it. Then they have the chapati. The chapati is, I was talking to my Pakistani friends, Mohammed and Yasir, and they have these in Pakistan, but they also have these in Kenya. And again, that's part of the huge influence of the Southeast Asians coming over. It's a wonderful country, social people. They're really developed actually, and they're all over the world. But once again, they too have a taint on their nation. They have a terrorist group called Al-Shabaab that have, they've really given the country a hard time. I mean, people usually have like tornado drills here. In our school we have terrorist drills. So if you hear the alarm going off, you know, lock the doors, stay inside, don't open the windows, don't scream. If you're locked outside, that stinks. They attacked a mall back in the day. And the mall was like an international mall, so all sorts of people were there, and they took a lot of lives, and they just try to cause fear and panic in the lives of people, you know. They attacked a university. You know, these were university kids. You know, what have university kids got to do with all of this? But the Kenyan government are working on them. So they tried. They also exist in Somalia. So the Kenyan government tries to go into Somalia to stop them there, but it's really difficult because of the immigration laws in two different countries. So it's almost like a bitter battle back and forth. So, who am I? I am a Nigerian, born in Malawi, raised in Mozambique, and educated in Kenya. I'm a third culture kid. And where am I from? I'll let you decide. Thank you. Do I have any questions? What languages do I speak? Oh man. When I grew up in Malawi, I used to speak a language called Chichewa, but I left when I was 8, so I forgot it. I speak English, I speak some Portuguese, I speak Chindao. I don't speak any of my parents' languages, which is a shame. They're from different tribes, so it was difficult, but currently I speak 3 languages.
So what foods are you enjoying currently?
What foods am I enjoying currently? Okay, I love Sodexo, I have nothing against it. Sometimes the pizza crust can be a little bit hard, so I always go for the burgers are really nice. America really have really nice sweet food and really nice salty food, you know, one extreme to the other. So fries are really good, they actually stay this long. In Africa, our fries are like this short because we don't have the machines to get them to stand. And then there's a variety of sodas and stuff, some which I've never seen before. Do I have any other questions?
You talked about culture shock. What was your culture shock when you got here?
My culture shock when I got here. So I went to an international school in Kenya where there were a lot of Americans. Most of my teachers were American. When I was in Malawi and Mozambique, my parents worked as missionaries, so I was exposed to many international people and Americans too. So it wasn't so much a shock as it was a gradual openness towards Americans. So, it started off small, and then I went to a school with Americans, and then eventually I came here. So the culture shock was not so bad. We had a lot of sessions in my high school talking about what's going to happen when you go to America. And so, to be honest, I didn't really experience a lot of culture shock. I have experienced some awkward moments. I don't know, going to malls is just really awkward for me because I have no idea what to do. I didn't know you could pay by yourself and stuff like that. But culture shock has not been such a big thing for me here. Maybe it's going to come, maybe not.
Where did you learn your good public speaking skills?
Where did I learn my good public speaking skills? In high school one day I decided, you know what? Public speaking seems cool. I can do that. And I just sort of worked on it, just had interviews here and there. I decided not to get nervous in front of crowds because if you get nervous, then you do bad, then you get more nervous. So it's just a downward spiral. So I guess I just enjoyed it and I just worked on it and I was serious about it, yeah.
What church were your parents missionaries?
My parents were not missionaries for any specific church. Our mission organization is non-denominational. It's called CAFRO. It's from Nigeria. Yeah, but it's not from a specific church. It's an organization.
Where do you plan to go next?
Where do I plan to go next? That's actually a very easy question. I'm gonna go to wherever, I get scholarships and stuff, because education can be a little bit expensive at times. So wherever the doors open, I'm gonna go next. I don't mind. Any final questions?
We give David another round of applause. Thank you, David, for that great presentation. Our next lunch and learn will be April 14th, Thursday again, and we'll be featuring South Korea, and that'll be our last lunch and learn for the semester until we start up again in fall. So if you have any questions for David, you'd like to come up and talk to him, feel free to, and have a good day.